All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we're doing this totally different today. It's a 2020 Audi Q5, and yes, it's German, but that's not what's different today. I'm going to do this review POV style, and you let me know if you like this and should I do this moving forward or not. So there you go. Have fun with that. But yes, this is indeed the 2020 Audi Q5, and who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than Johnson Lexus in Durham, North Carolina. So if you're interested in this car or any other car, mainly a Lexus, because it's pretty much what they have here for the most part, then you can actually get a discount if you mention Exhaust Sports Auto, about $200 off of any vehicle here. And no, I don't get anything out of it. It's just a little discount for you, for Danny helping out with all these reviews. And all their information will be down in the description box. But anyway, let's get to this little review, shall we? 2020 Audi Q5. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't even really like this car that much. I don't really like the way this thing looks. That's the first place I'm going to start. You know, you buy this thing. It's a big, prestigious. Well, I'm sorry, it's not big. It's a. I don't even know what this is, but it's a prestigious Audi. You know, a lot of people, they buy this to flex some wealth, right? Well, there's no like flexing characteristic associated with this car. I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, it's a nice ride, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've driven plenty of Audis before. I like Audis. I like the way they feel. However, this vehicle, dude, it doesn't really do it for me, like look-wise from the exterior, but you let me know. I mean, this is their #1 best-selling vehicle that Audi has in their lineup right now. So it's been out since 2013. People have been gobbling this thing up. So you let me know, how do you like the way this thing looks? I think a lot of people, they might like it because it's got a more petite stature to it. It's not as large as like a BMW X5 or a Lexus RX 350. So I guess people like it for that reason. But it's still, I don't know, it's just a weird little thing, I guess. It's kind of like a Lexus NX, if you will. But don't get me wrong, it's a nice little vehicle. But you let me know in the comment section if you like the way this vehicle looks or not. I think it's about 184 inches long total, something like that. Let's see here. Yeah, it drives great, you know. Let's get into that drive, because that's the main reason why people buy stuff like this, right? So let's test out some of this driving now, shall we? All right. Forgive me, that's my little tripod in the back there. Let's get this bad boy out on the road. Test out some of that white noise, because, you know, it's an Audi. What Audis are, what they typically are, and what they try to accomplish is they are just a hyper smooth automobile. I mean, they are like Lexus on steroids, and you might be thinking, oh wow, that's amazing. And it is in a way, and for some people, you know, that's what they want. However, that could even be considered boring to some people, because it does lead to a more detached kind of driving experience, if you will. And out on the highway here, you know, doing some legitimate speeds, it's not half bad. There's just a bit of wind noise, but that's honestly totally appropriate for what this vehicle is. I mean, it's not ridiculously loud or anything like that, and there's hardly any tire noise, dude. These are 235 wide tires in all four corners. They are Continental tires at that, and the tires are extremely quiet, so that's a great thing. This vehicle as a whole is extremely refined. I appreciate that. And that's the main reason why you buy this thing. I mean, Audis are just so hyper smooth. I mean, this engine, right, this little 4-cylinder turbo, it's just one of those typical 4-cylinder turbocharged SUV looking things. And you know what? It's really smooth. It's really easy to drive. It's really easy to place out on the road. It's got really smooth takeoff right there. I mean, you cannot, this is literally the smoothest 4-cylinder turbo I have ever experienced. Usually these things are so dumb and chattery, and I really don't like the way they sound, but this is great. Brakes are really smooth and progressive as well. It's just all the inputs that you give this vehicle, it is great. And, you know, I'll talk about the interior segment later on, but you know, this interior, it feels pretty much identical to sitting inside of a Mazda, which is a good thing because Mazda pretty much mimicked this vehicle right here. So there is that. Let's see, once again, you know, kind of launch it here. It doesn't give you like an unbelievable thrust or anything like that when you floor it from the line like that. But the thing is, though, it's just a super, it's like the perfect amount of speed for out on the road, and that's what I really like. This car never feels like it's struggling. And let's see, playing with those paddles, for whatever reason, Audis have an amazing transmission. I mean, it reacts so well. So when idiots like that jump in front of you, well, there you go. Kind of downshift a little bit, you know, get that little engine braking going on. It reacts extremely well. Of course, over all the bumps, it is soaking them up extremely well. I mean, this is an SUV, if you will, and because it sits up a little bit higher, it's got that, you know, more suspension travel, so it's going to ride a little bit better than a typical car would, I guess. But this thing is already riding on 18-inch wheels, so you know, it's not like an SQ5. It doesn't have like 27-inch wheels on it or anything like that. So 18's really helping with the way that this thing rides as well. So that's great. It is such a relaxing driving experience. I mean, I'm going to test more of that handling out here in a bit. However, the thing is with these vehicles, you're never really urged to push these things. You know, this is kind of like what every single one of these luxury vehicles are like. They're so refined to the point where you don't feel like driving aggressively. You know, this thing, you know, once again, it's got like the typical spec sheet thing going on. You know, it's about 4,000 pounds, pretty much in line with all the competition. Actually, I just recently drove an X3, and honestly, I had nothing to complain about with that X3. However, I will say, I mean, these cars are so good that it's so sterile. It's like distilled water running through a Brita. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they're so freaking refined. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to complain about, but it's just like, they're a little detached. But I will say this is a really satisfying driving experience, man. I mean, you can, oh, where is it? There's got to be a sport thing here somewhere, right? I mean, yeah, you can play with the little. Oh, so even got an off-road mode. Well, you can put in dynamic, but here's the thing, though. That doesn't really change much. It kind of, you know, makes the steering a little bit heavier, but that's about it. I feel like this is a more satisfying driving experience than driving that X3. And speaking of X3, got an M40i right there. That's not what I drove. I just drove a standard X3. But all these things, they're all about the same, you know, speed, if you will. Bust this little turd right here. Really neutral. See, that's kind of where this separates itself from like a regular car like a Mazda or whatever, because this thing, it rides, because this thing, it just corners and grips far better than like a normal car does. There's no understeering with this. It's just always neutral, and of course it's got the Quattro all-wheel drive, of course. But despite that, I mean, you can feel like this chassis is just superior. You know, these are the things that sets these Audi, BMW type things apart from its kind of regular car counterparts. Regular cars, you know, they still drive great. However, their chassis are a bit more sloppy, and there's a lot more understeer going on, and you might even experience some torque steer. All those kind of unrefined characteristics have been removed from this. This transmission is hyper smooth. I love this transmission. The steering, it's so effortless. I can see why a lot of people, they love these things. Yeah, this really does feel similar to like a, not similar, but it's kind of like doing what an RX 350 is, except better. But I don't know, I still like the RX 350. I feel like, you know, this is crazy to say, but Lexus has like the most amount of character in the class, which is kind of unbelievable to say. It's not because the Lexus has imperfections that make it have a lot of characteristic. It's just, that's just the nature of their motors and stuff like that. You know, RX 350's got a V6. This thing, all the competition utilize a 4-cylinder turbo. These Germans have done a great job tuning this stuff, but still, I'm just saying. Yeah, this is really satisfying. I would be really happy to drive this car, and I think, you know, Excalibur, I know you're watching. You watch everything, so I know you probably got this far. These things, they don't really... These things are pretty safe because they're not like a regular SUV. They're not super high up in the air, so I don't feel like this thing is going to actually like tip over. This thing is very similar to like a car, except you do feel like you're running a a little bit higher than a car because, you know, you are, so you have that sensation. But I don't think this thing will ever tip over. It's got great control, and it's got a little bit of a wider track in the rear, so I do really appreciate the design. Maybe that's why this thing sells so well, because people like this more petite styled SUV. So with that, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior, shall we? All right, so now that we are parked, let's take a little look at this interior, shall we? So I do like how this climate control is pretty much completely separated from the screen. That is phenomenal. Love that. Got a little 3-zone thing going on here, and it's got, you know, nice little things here like heated seats, of course, and it's also got a little bit more safety options for 2020 as standard now. So there you go. That's great. And you know, this gauge cluster right here, it's pretty much identical to what the Audi, to what like Hyundai Kia is trying to do, basically. Like they give you like these two speedometer, tachometer, and it's got like basically the exact same layout for the, what do you call it, the center screen right here. So kind of shows you like similar information. However, the screen quality in this is great. Of course, you know, Audi always does a great job with this stuff, so I do appreciate that. Steering wheel, you know, I always like this bulbous thing in the middle here, and it's pretty like thin feeling steering wheel, very unique from the other kind of like, you know, BMWs and stuff, which just give you like a big girthy steering wheel. This is more so on the thinner side, and it's like very open. It's kind of skinny. I do appreciate that. They always have like these plastic paddle shifters, even if you have a more expensive Audi, which that always kind of baffled me. But anyway, you got automatic headlights, you got one-touch up and down windows, and these windows are not double pane glass, so there is that. But they are all one-touch up and down, so that's great. You got the memory seats, of course. This wood trimming, it's all very nice. You know, it's all well put together. It's a little crunchy, of course, because it's been, you know, baking out of the sun, so I forgive it for that. Got the auto stop start defeat right there, traction control off, parking sensors, hill descent, all that stuff. This is your drive mode selector right there as well. And this is not the largest screen possible, of course. You know, you kind of control it with this little knob right here. This whole system, I guess, is all controlled with these buttons. It's not a touch screen, of course, so don't bother. Does react extremely quick, of course. Now, Audi, BMW, they do a great job with their little infotainments, of course. And this is not, you know, it's the base audio system, but it still sounds very good. It definitely gets the point across. Not like the best thing in the world, but it's okay. Got that right there. Got a little storage right there. You can't even put a phone in there. Of course, you got a USB, and you got a volume knob. So I appreciate how they give you the physical kind of controls for everything. So this is actually going to be the last generation where you're going to get all this stuff, because, well, the new Q5 is probably going to come out. I think a 2021 model is already out, but it's the same thing as this. However, when they redesign this thing, it's going to be like two big screens, basically. So it's going to be all piano black plastic. So this is going to be that last generation of, you know, wonderful Audi interiors that are solid, nice clicky buttons, physical buttons, you know, nice displays like this. You know, it's phenomenal. This, you know, this is actually a pretty good digital shifter right there. You got electronic parking brake, two big cup holders, and this is not that large actually, so there is that, but you do have another USB and aux cable connection right there. The glove box is a pretty good size. Don't know what the attitude problem is on this thing, but anyway, the panoramic sunroof, that's a nice little touch right there. Rear seats, I can definitely fit behind myself. However, it's not like unbelievable amount of space. It's not the largest SUV in the class or anything like that. This is more so on the petite side. However, I definitely fit back there, and most importantly, there is a huge amount of trunk space in this vehicle. So there's that, and there's even a little spare tire thing, but it's so damn skinny, the tire. Somebody explained to me what that is. I've never seen that before. That's just very obscure to me that they put a very skinny tire in there. I'm sure there's a reason. It's a special type of spare tire, so let me know about that. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much a, you know, somewhat detailed look at the Audi Q5, the 2020. I've been wanting to check this thing out for a long time because this is the #1 seller for Audi, and I see them all the time, but I hate how it looks. But now I get it. It's such a refined package. It's a good size. Anybody can get in here and drive it. It's so comfy. It is so quiet in here. Just a bit of wind noise past 70 miles an hour, but that's to be expected in pretty much any car. I guess they could put in double pane glass, but hey, still, it's such a great place to spend time in, and handles extremely well. I actually would take this over the BMW X3. I find this to be a more superior car. I just don't like the way it looks. It just has no swag, no prestige. That's the only thing. But you let me know your thoughts, and owners, please do let me know what you think after owning this vehicle. And also, let me know what you think about a POV review moving forward. Should I just continue to do this now? Do you like this? Do you feel like you're one with the car? Do you feel like, you know, you're there with me or whatever? That's what I was trying to portray. So if you enjoyed it, let me know. But thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.